Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I will be showing you how to make a couch with a pot. So first, delete all this stuff, add a new collection, and we're going to name this collection Couch. We're going to press 3, add a cube, scale it. So let me turn on screencast keys real quick. Scale it, so we're going to click on resize, and we're going to adjust these things. Y, we're going to put at 4. X, we are going to do 0.3. Actually, no, I'll keep it at 1. I'll do that at 0.3. Okay, 0.5. So, now I'm just fine-tuning these adjustments. So we have 1.5, 4, and 0.3. Okay, now we can get into editing the couch. So go into 1, we're going to make some loop cuts, 3, so it should look like that. Now, we're going to make some loop cuts here. Let's do 11. Okay. Now, we're going to start selecting faces to extrude. So, start selecting these faces. Oops, didn't work. Let me do this again. Okay. Now, so all those faces should be selected. Oops. And now we're going to extrude them upwards at 1 meter, actually. Yeah. And now we're going to just extrude these faces up another 1 meter. Now we're going to add a subdivision surface modifier, put at levels 0.5, and we're going to keep the render at 1. We're going to put at 1. Okay, now we have a nice smooth couch. Now let's extrude the bottom by looking at the bottom, and I need to select all these faces. Now I will extrude it to 1 meter, and there you go. That's our main couch. And now let's extrude this a bit further because it looks kind of awkward. 1.5 looks fine. Okay, now we can work on these little legs. They're optional, so you do not have to do this. So select some of these faces, and then we're just going to extrude them quite a bit. 0.5 looks alright. Now we can go back into object mode, and there's the couch. Now let's move it up so it's just resting on the y-axis. And there. 1.8. 1.7. 1.75. That's fine. Okay. Now, let's add a plane. Scale this up to 10. Scale that up to 10 again. Well, that's a bit too big. Scale it to only 5. Okay, now we're going to select this edge, and we're going to extrude it. So E and Z, and extrude. Let's put this at 80. That looks fine. Now let's select this bottom edge, press Ctrl B, and let's put this at 0.3 And this at 30. 300, yeah, that's way too much. That looks fine actually. Okay, now we can rotate this couch on the Z-axis and it looks nice. Now let's add a light first. Let's do a camera actually. Press Ctrl Alt 0 and couch is in view. Now we just need to zoom out a bit. There we go. Okay. Now, if we go into cube, let's change this to couch and this plane to background. Now let's add a material. How about a nice tan color? So that looks nice. And then, if we go underneath here, we can change the color of these legs. So face select, and let's select these legs. Okay, now that the legs are selected, let's make a darker brown. Add a new material and make that a darker brown. So, there we go. Now we just click Assign. And there we go. There. We have our brown legs. And yep, there's our brown legs. But let's make this a bit lighter because it's quite dark. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to color the background. A nice blue color will do. And now let's add another cylinder this time. This will be for the plant pot. Let's turn off the camera background and let's just focus on the cylinder. So shade smooth. And let's keep this couch so we can create a scale. So let's move it over here. We're going to scale it a bit. So there you go. And the Z-axis, that's way too small. One. Let's keep that at 1. Actually, I think this is a nice pot size. So let's just go into edit mode and pull this face in a bit. You can either go all the way down or not that much at all. It doesn't really matter because we're going to be adding soil on the top. Now turn off X-ray mode and we're going to put a ring up here and let's do 0.7. Okay, now let's select these faces to extrude them. Select. There we go. Now, extrude doesn't really work, so we're going to have to go into extrude region and extrude along normals. That is inside, so we need to go outside. And 0.3 is a bit too big, so 0.2. Looks nice. Actually, 0.1 might be better. Okay, now we have our plant pot. So now let's assign a new color to it and make it whatever color you want. I'm going to be making mine a brownish color. Brownish reddish color. And that looks pretty nice. But let me move it over here. And yeah, I feel like that's more of a pot color instead of a brown, as the soil will be brown. So scale it down. And we're gonna call this our flower pot. And let's move it back over to the couch. And move it a bit over here because it's not going to be underneath the couch. And now let's add a cube. This will be for the dresser drawer / thing, so we can put the pot on top. So let's scale this a bit. So we need to make this 1.5, and I think we can keep everything else 1.3. Okay, 1.3 looks fine. Now let's add a loop cut. 2 of them. Does this work? No. Okay, let's just do 3 loop cuts. Let's actually do 2 instead. 2 looks better. And now face select, and we can eat and scale that and extrude it inside. And create a little handle. Okay, let's undo this. And 1. Okay. Let's do E scale 0.9. That looks better. Okay, now let's extrude. Let's scale all of these, and then we can all extrude them at the same time inside. So now if we put them in, they don't need to be too far in. Just, I'm going to put mine at 0.5. I mean 0.05. Now let's work on these handles. Okay, now that's the basic handle shape. We can extrude all of these, but first we need to move them up because not all handles are generally centered in the middle of the drawer. They're a little bit higher. So now we can extrude. I can't really see that. What did I just do? Okay, here we go. So now let's extrude them a bit. Let's do 0.1. Okay. Now we have to add loop cuts to all of these. So loop cut this one, loop, and then let's go underneath. Actually, let's just all loop cut them all first. So loop cut and last loop cut. Now we can extrude. Oh, that didn't work. We can select all these faces. Actually. And 0.1, you can't really see anything. Let's do 0.03. That looks better. Okay. So E 0.03 and E 0.03. Okay. Now we have our drawer. Now we need to color this. So how about we make this another brown color? That looks nice. Okay. Now we can move this drawer all the way over. Not underneath the couch. We need to move it over here. And then make sure it is sitting on the y-axis. So at 1.3. And that looks good. Now let's move it back and rotate it a bit. There we go. Now we can put this on top of the drawer. That's 3.2. And I can still see that it's a little bit above. So yeah, negative 0.1 or 0.2. Now we have to make sure that it's kind of sort of centered on the drawer. So let's move it down a bit more. Okay, now we can move it over. So move it on the x-axis, move it and scale it down. And then we're going to make sure it sits right on top. And move it on the y-axis. Oh, now we can see that there's a gap. Okay. So make sure that it's touching. And let's put it there. And scale it down, because that's a bit too large. Now, we need to place it just right on top. Okay, there we go. Now, we can turn on the background, and that looks pretty nice so far. Now we turn on rendered. You're going to put it in cycles, and we are missing some lights. So let's add some lights. A sun, I think that looks good. Sun looks pretty good in this scene. So I think a sun will do for this. Okay, now I'm going to turn the camera back on. Actually off, I'll keep it off. Okay. I gotta turn off the background and the sun. And we're going to rename this drawer or shelf / drawer, whichever one you want to call it. And let's turn this stuff off so we can just focus on this flower plot. Now we're going to be adding the dirt. So, it's not what I need. We need to go back into this, and we need to add a plane. And then let's scale it down. Actually, wait, if we add a modifier, it should make a circle. Okay, there we go. So we have a circle to make it look more, it'll look better if we have a circle. And make sure you turn this on. This will help a lot. If you don't have it on, it's what I'm going to be doing will not work if you try to recreate it. So let's add some glue cuts. 7 on both sides. Oh, what? Okay. That's too much. 7. Okay. Now, if we take one of these, a lot of the stuff moves with it. So let's scale this circle down a bit. And let's just make some dirt by moving some vertices. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. So all I'm doing is just grabbing the vertices and angling them into a dirt-like position, I guess you could say. Okay, now we have a nice looking dirt mesh, I guess you could call it. So let me just move this up a bit. This one. Just a couple more, and then we're almost done. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, let's add some color to it, and let's add a dirt color, so a dirt brown, if we can try to find one. Let's just darken this up. That actually works a lot. Okay, that works really good. Now we have a nice looking brown. A dirt brown, I guess you could call it. So, let's move this over to the flower pot so that we can what? Why is this not working? I wonder why it's not a circle anymore. That's weird. Probably just angled the corners, I guess. Okay, scale it down, and we're going to move it all the way over to the flower pot. Okay. Now, let's move it inside-ish the flower pot. We're going to take care of the stuff that's outside of the flower pot, so it won't look like this. Okay, so just get the dirt where you want it to be, and now we're going to start deleting the outside, I guess you could say. So just select the vertices that you don't want, and just press X to delete them. Okay, now let's move some of these vertices so that it's not open like how it is. So just grab some of them and move them over to the edges so that they cover up the whole space. Okay, so it looks pretty good. Now let's just turn everything back on. Let's call this dirt, and let's turn everything back on. Background. Okay, let's look at it rendered and put the sun on. Okay, I'm going to move the sun a little bit so it's not exactly centered. And that's fine. Okay, so now you should have a nice looking couch with a drawer and a plant pot on top. I will have another video coming out soon of how to make a nice looking flower, a flower for basically anything. So make sure you look out for that tutorial. But as always, thank you for watching, and please make sure, as always, to like and subscribe. Thanks, bye-bye.